Stuffed cassava is on page 10 of my cookbook, Puerto Rican Cuisine in America. Hello there, welcome back to Oswald's Kitchen, Oswald at Large. And today we're going to make a great Caribbean dish. It's very popular and famous in our culture, and it is Alcapurrias. Yeah, just the way it's spelled. What it is, it's basically a stuffed plantain dish or a stuffed root plant. Basic alcapurrias are made with plantains or green bananas. What you do is you mash the green bananas and then you stuff them with beef or pork and you deep fry them. However, today we have a surprise. We're going to make them with yuca. The way it's spelled, Y-U-C-A. And yuca is nothing other than cassava. Now, according to the American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language, cassava is a tropical American plant from whose root is derived tapioca. This is a cassava or yuca. As you can see, it's a kind of gnarly root plant. And it yields a starch called manioc, M-A-N-I-O-C, which is used in making such things as farina and tapioca. We don't use this for tapioca and farina. What we do is we peel it, we cut it into chunks, we boil it, and we serve it with olive oil and garlic. What we do is we peel the cassava or the yuca, we chop it into pieces, and then we grate it. Now, in terms of grating, you can do it the old-fashioned way by using a hand grater. The problem with that is that it's time-consuming and you can wrap your knuckles. That means you can have some skin into the dish to give it flavor, and you don't want that. So what we do is we grate it in a food processor. And this is the peeled cassava. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chop it and grate it. Once it's chopped, just place it on a plate. Here we are. The food processor is fitted with the grater disc, and all we do is process and grate the cassava. Very simple, easy to do. The next step, we're going to take the yuca, place it in a colander, and then we're going to drain it with cold water. And then we're going to, with using our fingers, we're going to press as much excess moisture as we can from the cassava to keep it as dry as possible. Once all the excess water has been removed from the yuca, we place it in a bowl. And then the next ingredient we add is achiote. Achiote is nothing else but annatto seeds. Annatto seeds come from the achiote tree, hence the name. And achiote trees grow in tropical and subtropical regions of the U.S. As you can see, this is what it looks like. Now we're going to cook the annatto seeds in olive oil so that we can get the achiote. So here we go. Here we're adding the olive oil, half a cup. And heating it up over medium heat. So here the olive oil has been heated. Then we add about a tablespoon of achiote and you cook it. Now this is important. You have to cook it on low heat, on a simmer, because if you cook it over high heat, the seeds will crack and split and splatter, and you don't want that. Let me add that achiote can be found in most stores these days, in any Caribbean market, Asian market, and most supermarkets. Barring that, you can also find it in a health food store. Achiote itself will cook in about 5 minutes, and you can see the oil is getting a deep orange-red color, which is the coloring we want to use in the dish. The achiote is done. The olive oil has attained a deep orange hue, and what we do, the next step is we strain it. Nice and easy. I love using cast iron in this, by the way, but you can use any kind of pot. And this is the achiote. 1 or 2 tablespoons of achiote, or as much as you want for coloring. and a teaspoon of salt. Just mix it all together so that you get that golden hue on the yuca. We're going to cook the meat for the stuffing. Again, you can use pork, you can use beef, but I'm using, for health purposes, ground turkey. You can also use ground chicken. And this is what you cook this in oil, and this is going to be the stuffing for the cassava. First, we heat some olive oil, about maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons. Okay, you heat the olive oil basically over medium or high heat, or medium high. However, when you cook the meat, you cook it over medium heat and you stir fry it until it loses all its red color, usually 3 to 4 minutes. Once the meat is done, and here we have about a pound of meat that has been cooked, we add the next ingredient, sofrito. Now, sofrito is a base flavoring that we use in our cuisine. It's an aromatic mix of herbs and spices that is used in countless dishes. You can either make your own sofrito, and if you want, for convenience, you can buy it from the store. Like, for instance, this brand here. The Rico brand, which is the one that is very popular. Barring that, you can always get packets of Sazon Accent. These are packets of a flavoring. And the Gallo brand makes a very good Sazon. And I like this one because it has no salt. It has no salt added to it. Now I'm going to add the sofrito to the meat. Half a cup. And 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. And what you do is you mix it all together. Okay, it looks nice, doesn't it? Get all the flavors combined so you can have a scrumptious dish. Once it's mixed, what you do is you let this dish simmer on low heat for approximately 15 minutes, uncovered. Now we add 3 tablespoons of lukewarm water. Mix that in. Cover. And let it simmer for approximately 10-15 minutes more. At last, we're going to produce the stuffed cassava. Simple. You take about a half a cup of the mix, place it on a plate. Then you add, hold it out like in a circle. You add about a spoonful of the meat, and then you fold it, adding more until it forms either a circle or a croquette, a cylinder. The other way you do it is in your wet hands, and they have to be wet. You put some of the mix in your hands, you add some of the meat, and then you add more cassava over it. So again, you can make a cylinder shape, or it could be an oval. And there we are. Now we fry the alcapurrias, and we fry it in oil. In a pan, let's say put about maybe up to about 3 to 4 inches of oil, because it has to be deep, or you can use a deep fryer if you desire. Now we're going to deep fry the alcapurrias in oil. Just put them in here, you can see, and you deep fry them for about 4 to 5 minutes each until golden brown. As you can see, the alcapurrias are deep frying to a golden brown, and that's what you want. Once they're done, you drain them on paper towels, like we're doing here. And there are your alcapurrias. In terms of the beverage to have with this dish, if you like wine, you can have a white wine like a Cabernet Sauvignon, for instance, or Suave. If you like red wines, any light red wines will do. A Bardolino, a Valpolicella, a California Pinot Noir. I myself this time I'm having a Malbec, which is a great variety that is very popular in Argentina. And it has a ripe plum flavor that will go great with this dish. So, until the next time, as we say in my culture, amor, salud y pesetas, health, wealth, and love. Cheers.